All right. We are back again for another open court discussion live in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Ow!
All right. Welcome to our broadcast where we're exploring one of the most fascinating and complex aspects of human relationships, the age gap. Why do some relationships thrive despite significant age differences, while others face challenges and scrutiny? Tonight, April 7th, we'll be delving into the social, cultural, personal, and biological factors that contribute to the age gap and examining the ways in which it affects our lives and relationships. From societal norms and expectations to individual preferences and experiences. We'll be exploring the many reasons why the age gap exists and what it means for us as individuals and as a society. So please like and share our video and don't forget to tell a sugar daddy or a cougar to tell another sugar daddy or a cougar to subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. Slow grind, 943 subs. Getting close? Not close enough. Let's go. What are we waiting on? Subscribe, and subscribe. Okay, good people. We are here Monday night. Got the championship, the NCAA March Madness championship game on. So if you see me peeping over there, gotta keep an eye on it. Gotta keep an eye on the game. And just here, it's April. Weather's been unpredictable. We had some days here it was like 80, 81. Then now we back
Mm.
to like in the morning, 30 something, 40 degrees, may get up to 50. So it's been unpredictable, but we're winding down as far as the school year before the spring break. So these are our last few days, but of course we got state testing, so that's a whole nother animal. But I had a group today. Wasn't so bad. Wasn't so bad at all. I was actually shocked. Sixth graders. They shit. When the test was over, I said, "Y'all can talk," because they was making me feel uncomfortable. And they may not know me, um, other than seeing me around because I deal with the seventh graders. So, but it was cool. So that's what's been going on. So I know at work these kids they ready when it gets that last few days before the break they like to push buttons, challenge, and seem like everybody's so emotional and it's just it's weird. It's, strangeness it's just weird. So hey, I'm trying to stay afloat with everything I've been going through myself and hoping to gain some closure and move forward. But I can tell you this, and we always talk about it, like these little minor injuries and stuff. I just went to patient first today because my has been killing me, but it started from the neck, and doctor or PA, physician assistant, said it's probably a nerve that's going down, and it's going down from my neck. And she was like, "But it's something." And I had this before, and that's when I went to physical therapy, and it actually worked, but it seemed like it's coming back again. And she was like, "But what you don't want to happen is for it to, continue to go down your arm, and then your arm gets weak, or you start feeling numbness, and then you won't be able to kind of hold things, and you just start dropping stuff." So, that's a concern. And also, I must got this brace on for freaking tendonitis in my wrist. my other hand. So I'm all jack up, just breaking down, just breaking down. But I'll be all
Man,
right. It's just little annoying injuries, nagging injuries. That now I realize I never thought about it, but when sports players when like their shoulders and stuff be messed up, and they're like, oh, they're out for the year. I like shit. I see why, because some of this that pain that hits you, like damn, it's almost worse than a
yeah.
toothache. Uh, believe it or not, like pain in your shoulders or whatever, that neck area. So that's that. Gonna move on. What's going on? And where I said, man, you like going up against the NCAA and the
Yes.
NFL. Yeah, we just try to keep it moving. Yeah, I could have canceled, but I've been canceling. We didn't really have a show in March, but like one. So I'm trying to get back on track.
Yeah, somebody got to do it. You know what's funny about that is, and David and I was just talking about this actually a little while ago, is that our watch hours are coming close to 250,000, and we have all of our subs, people who like our content, people who think that what we say is worthy of listening to thank for that. So that belongs to you all. I mean, when I sat back and saw it, I was like, that's some impressive shit. I mean, really, it is, because it's rare that you find people on YouTube who do original content. A lot of your content creators will talk about other things and they'll cover that. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not here to denigrate those people. I'm talking about people who take topics, dig into the numbers, look at things and then separate and then bring you their own thoughts on the matter. So I'm it's like David said, it's a slow grind. So I know that anything that we get is authentic. Nobody can say we paid for subs, we do this, we don't do that. Because like Dr. Anwar said, we're in a difficult time slot. Because from September to January, it's Monday Night Football. We know for the vast majority of men, we do not exist in that time slot. So if we get 3 or 4 live viewers, that's good for us. What we look for on the back end are the watch hours and how many people have actually watched that episode. Granted, we don't get as much as we used to have the panel on here, but I'll take that. Hey, Nuke, I just sent those 2 videos. I sent the 2 messages to you, Nuke, the 2 movies. So hopefully you got them. But we're always, or I'll certainly say it for myself. I'm always content. I'm always very upbeat. And like I tell people, this is therapeutic. So people talk about Black men not seeking out therapy, Black men not commiserating with each other and doing this. I will say this much, and Nuki can attest to this. At my brother's birthday party, there's about 70 people there, all either family, friends, or colleagues. And we had a damn good time. I'm knocking people over on the dance floor because I ain't been out there in a while.
Oh, somebody got to send me some footage. Got to send me some footage. Oh my god, I can't talk. I'm not no dancer myself, but oh, what's going on, Nuki? How you doing?
I like I said, man. I had a real good time, man. I had a real good time, but yeah, man. Aging is a funny thing. Both of my elbows are they've suffered injuries. A month and a half, maybe 2 months ago now, I fell at the alley. This elbow hit, and it's still all like road rash. And this one I fell some years ago. So the only thing that actually feels right is my left shoulder, my left knee. I'm going to eventually have to have my right shoulder looked at just to make sure that there isn't any rotator cuff injury. And my elbows are what they are. But I still can throw a football. I still can throw a baseball. I still can swing a bat. I still can roll a blade. I still can do a lot of the things I used to do when I was younger. I just don't do them as well. And of course, the 290 pounds, I'm down a little over a pound. I'm going to keep y'all abreast of that every week. I've recommitted myself to my diet, and that's another thing I want to say to people out there. If you're struggling with anything, whether it's addiction, mental health, finances, as long as you have a plan and you're moving forward, keep the faith. You're gonna be discouraged once in a while, and I understand that, but don't give up. Keep moving forward. Because as long as you keep moving forward, you're gonna be a step closer to whatever it is you're looking to achieve. And I say that with all sincerity. So keep moving forward. And tonight's show is not sponsored by Pineapple Ciroc. Sante.
So to kind of get into that, the age gap. Age is just a number. What does it mean? I had a dude, but I ended up hiding this comment because I know these little weak dudes. He was like, you're not a counselor. You're a child molester." Because I guess he said, I kind of was being funny, used the R. Kelly thing. Uh, what is it? "Girl, Are You Ready?" or something like that. Whatever the
Yeah, the
song
song.
is. But I was
Mhm.
like, I'm not even gonna go back and forth with this idiot because if I call him out here, he gonna come up with some excuse, whatever. I could have fried him, whatever. He's probably some social misfit with like 10 friends or whatever the case is, and I'm like, real weak, real weak. But I should have entertained him and uh tried to lure him on here so we could have fried his ass. Yeah, seems like you're ready.
And I've
So
noticed a lot of that. Yeah, I've noticed a lot of that too lately. Is that people who lack any credible information, knowledge, or wisdom on certain topics, the first thing they do is they like to attack someone personally who they don't know. And I'm thinking, why is that the default mode for it seems like 90% of people in social media forums? And I'm just like, people, if you don't know something, you just stay out the conversation.
yeah, especially to take it to that
It's not
extent.
that hard.
30, 31 years in education, dude, little dude, with kids, adults, you name it. So, nah, that ain't my thing. But clearly, that must have been his thing. And that's probably a lot of times when you come with stuff like that, it's probably because you're dealing with some insecurities of yourself. So, it's
Hmm.
probably his ass that's probably on the, what is it? What's the sexual predator list that
Oh,
goes out? It's probably because he looked like
oh,
whatever. And for now, I'm gonna start airing folks out. I'm gonna take their picture and put it on here, put it on here, and just have a ball with it. And just have a ball with it. What you want to talk reckless?
and you know what's funny about that? Um, Yesterday I think it was yesterday earlier today. Not this derail a topic. There was a discussion about um I think it was in Finland. They were saying that the Finnish schools are focusing a little less on education and more on uh leisure time, so the kids can get out and play a little bit more. And they were saying that the grades are improving. And one of the women said that there needs to be less time played on video games and things of that nature. And I commented, I said, "What's wrong with arcade video games, home consoles?" Another lady replied, "Because the antisocial issues, juvenile diabetes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." Now, I know I'm smack dab in the middle of Gen X. I was raised on Tom and Jerry, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, all of the cartoons, G.I. Joe. Daily, these cartoons showed violence, whether it was the Wile E. Coyote being killed, jumping off a 100-foot cliff, whatever it was. I'm thinking we turned out fine. But the reason we did was because for every hour we sat in front of that TV, we probably spent an hour outside playing, running around. And I said it once before, and I'll say it again. We didn't have these. Everybody gets upset when I say that Cell phones should not be given to kids under the age of 16. And people say, well, how will we know where the kids at? Well, that's on you as a parent to make sure that you know where your kids go. Your kids, and this is something we talked about before. Your kids going over to the neighbor's house, go make your way over to the neighbor's house and introduce yourself. You should have your neighbor's phone number. They going to the park, go find out what park they like to go to. I know in some municipalities, especially here in my home city of Niagara Falls, we don't have a lot of places that the kids can play. There's a lot of green space, but no slides, no swings, limited basketball courts. And for the most part, most of these kids don't play basketball anyway. All they do is run up and down the court and shoot threes. Curry! And it's just like, no hopscotch, no hide and seek, no tag, no mother may, none of those games that we played that do these kids even know of or heard of. So when I told her, I said, that's not the problem. I said, if you look at the food we ate, it was more nutritious. It wasn't this high fructose corn syrup. We used to be able to go down to the corner store and grab 3 of the quart juices and drink them all down and go continue to play. Them days don't exist anymore. You don't see pockets of kids running around the neighborhood, screaming, yelling. You rarely see them playing street hockey. Either pull the nets out, let the cars go by and put them back in and get it doing again. Street lights. You tell these kids to be home for the street lights on, they huh? What do you mean be home for the street lights on?
These parks are empty.
There's a lot of stuff, man.
Parks is empty. I don't see no tackle football. Bad enough. Never see any touch football. Those are stuff that it enhances your skill level. But it reminded me of today. I had one of my students. These kids kind of think they can do what they want to do. So she was saying that she was mad at another, I guess her god sister. She was like, I swear, I'm going to get my stuff right after school. I'm going to get everything. And I'm not going to be dealing with her no more. And I said, so how you getting there? And she was like, I'm getting on the bus. I said, but she normally gets picked up by her mother. I said, does your mother know that? She was like, well, no. I said, so how you getting home? She was like, well, I texted her. I said, but did you, before you decided if you getting on the bus, did you get a reply from her saying it was okay for you to go? And she was like, no, but somebody gonna come get me. And then she like, Glover. Sometimes they just call me by my last name. She like, Glover. She was like, I just got to do what I got to do sometimes. She was like, I just realized that kind of like I'm out here on my own, so I got to do what I got to do to. So I'm going over there to get my stuff. She's like, I realize now I gotta try to get my own money. So I said, but so that's to be continued. We never finished that conversation because it got toward the end of the day. But I know she said she was doing hair, and she was going to try to make money doing hair. But when you start saying you got to make your own money and you're only 12,
that's cold.
Yeah, that can lead to other things, especially when you feel like, yeah, my mom ain't around, my dad is locked up, my mother's boyfriend, he keep bringing other dudes around the house. So it's a lot going on, and I got a soft spot for her, but yet it's still, I want her to achieve in school, but she too can't be a kid, can't because she got too many other things that she's worried about, and that response was epitome of that to say, Glover, I got to do what I got to do. So I'm just gonna go over there and hopefully somebody pick me up because I got to get all my stuff because I realize I got to make my own money, whatever. Like you're 12, but and see, these is the things that the conversations that we like. I like to have. Like I could sit and have those conversations for hours and hours, but too many times we pulled in so many other directions and can't focus and have the real life conversations with kids. So shit, they feel like they're not getting it at home, and they're only getting part of it at school too. Then shit, where else they gonna find it somewhere? And it's unfortunate that where they may find it at. Uh, Nuki said my granddaughter has her own cell phone, and I said around 2010 we transitioned from play-based childhood to phone-based childhood, and kids haven't recovered. Yeah, definitely never. Never recovered. Never even attempted to get out there. And I think a lot of times too, when these communities, when different people transition into the communities, it kind of
Yeah.
throw the regular kids who've been been out there for a while and had their comfort zone. Then all of a sudden you got new kids coming around, and sometimes the little pressure of they don't have bikes, but you got a bike. Can I ride your bike? Can I ride your bike? Can I ride your bike? Let me ride your bike. Like that shit gets to be annoying to a kid. So then all of a sudden you see them stop wanting to ride their bike. They don't even want to go outside with their bike. They don't want to go out with their basketball because people asking for it. Because you never know who's gonna decide to take it or uh, whatever the case is. I ain't gonna call Nuki out about her brother who used to get our bikes and be gone for 2-3 days. Now, now that I got her attention, we ain't gonna say nothing about James. Getting our bikes for 2 or 3 days and disappearing. But it was all love too, because we know he was coming around, but we just knew like shit, he might be gone for a couple of days. Uh, but that was James. But I think that's a big pressure for kids too. Like again, when people transition into the neighborhood who wasn't there before, and they may not have as much as the ones that were already there. It's it's kind of frustrating for those kids. Let's see what else. We got a lot to cover in that area. I don't want to see if Herb wanted to finish off on this part, but he might have went in and made an early pizza order. Um, but I'm gonna start the conversation off about age is just a number, and when you think of that, people are automatically think of the negative aspects of it. And I've known, we've been talking about this subject for a while, and even we was talking about even like the railway plan when people really get someone and they see that they're getting up of age, but they just sitting back, putting them on the shelf, not really saying much, saying a few little things. And I'm not talking about men that's like 30 or 40. Usually these are probably guys that's in their early 20s, but they may see a girl that's
Hmm.
14, 15, and like, okay, when she get of age, I'm gonna keep dropping a few little lugs, whatever I see her. I might you know, purchase some things, give her a ride or something. But then once she turns that age, sometimes they don't even wait till they get 18. Sometimes they say, because again, it also depends on the state you live in as far as consensual and all that. But sometimes they don't even wait. They just, hey, start dropping the hammer at an early age. Uh, so that's one of the factors of this. But then there's others like when we talk about the first part, my notes, social and cultural factors. That sometimes it's just simply could be a community thing, a family
Hmm.
thing. Sometimes guys all they say like, man, my uncle, my dad, they always had younger girls, younger women, and uh, people say shit. That's the route to go. That's all I ever saw, and people do it for several reasons. But often in the counselor's corner, they'll say, "Oh, these guys just want to have control over women, and they can't get no one their age and all that." Well, they have people their age, but sometimes it becomes a preference thing. And I'm not gonna get into all that hit the wall and all of that conversation. I ain't even gonna go there. It might come out later, but that's just one factor I'm gonna start off with, like just community and like family, the family surround the environment that you. Some people may have seen that, and we're coming from a man's perspective too, and I'm sure women have their reasons why they do it.
Oh, I got you covered on that angle. I got you covered beautifully on that angle. I certainly do. There's a young lady, and I preface this, at least what I'm getting ready to say right here. I want everybody to understand, okay? Her name is Letitia Underwood. I'm gonna put her name in the chat. And she said something, and of course it's controversial. She said, "Why broke men aren't desirable to women?" I'm going to read this list. It's a rather lengthy list, so bear with me. She said, "Why broke men aren't desirable to women?" Let's be real. Financial stability matters in relationships. It's not about gold digging. It's about security, leadership, and a man's ability to provide for the life he wants to build. Women are naturally drawn to men who can handle their responsibilities, not men looking to be taken care of. I agree. She says, "Why broke men struggle in dating and relationships? Lack of stability equals uncertainty. A man cannot provide for himself, create stress instead of security. Women do not want to sign up for struggle. Money reflects responsibility and ambition. A man's financial status isn't just about cash. It shows his work ethic, discipline, and long-term thinking. Broke men often become resentful. Instead of working to improve, some broke men shame women for having financial standards as opposed to rather leveling up to them. He can't lead effectively. A man who struggles financially often can't lead, plan, or provide, forcing a woman to step in the role she may not want to. She becomes the provider. If a woman has to carry the financial load, it shifts the dynamics from leading to resentment and imbalance. The truth about women and financial standards, fellas, pay attention. Women do not require wealth, they require security. A man doesn't need to be rich, but he needs to be financially responsible and building towards something. Attraction is tied to provision. Women are wired to seek stability, not because they can't provide for themselves, but because they want a mate who contributes, not drains. A man's finances impact the relationship. Struggle love is romanticized, but in reality, financial stress breaks most relationships apart. One of the top two reasons for divorce: infidelity, finances. A woman who respects herself won't sign up for financial instability. She's not wrong for expecting a man to stand on his own 2 feet. And she asks this question: do you think financial stability is a deal breaker in dating? Let's talk below. Date smarter, not harder. It is a very touchy subject, Dr. Dunbar, but this is why people need to understand the basis for why age gap dating exists. Now we can go back and we can look at what some people will call the old world, meaning the European, Eurasian continent, and how they set up marriages. And one of the ways they set up marriages was to have an older man have their younger daughter, especially one who was financially stable, because more than likely, if he was financially stable, he could provide for any offspring that came along. And that's what everything was predicated on, was assuring that the next generation of kids lived into adulthood, because this is something we covered earlier. In the 17th century, 1600s, life expectancy was only about 40 years. So we talk about women having kids in their 30s. That didn't happen, because more than likely a pregnancy at that age for women then, it would kill them. They couldn't endure that. This is why they got married young. And even if they married somebody in their neighborhood, in their community, which most were if they weren't arranged, because we didn't have the wherewithal, the technology certainly didn't exist to be able to contact somebody 15 miles east and west. So the people you married were people in your own communities. All of that stuff didn't exist. I'm going to hop on Twitter and dating apps and this. No. Everybody was working the same job. Yes, you had some professionals. Yes, you had some blacksmiths. Yes, you had some iron workers. Yes, you had all of those things. But it wasn't as if the entire community was doing all of those things. And I wrote down some things. So I'm gonna drop this in there, then I'll let Dave step in. There are three ages that I'm gonna focus on. One is the pre-industrial revolution from 1760 to 1840. The industrial age from 1850 to 1914, and then a technological age from 1900s on. I know there's a gap in there, but that gap is more so due to all the inventions that kept humanity moving forward. There was a point in time where one invention led to another invention, led to another invention, that things really were static. You think about the internal combustion engine. We go from horse-drawn carriages to the internal combustion engine. I'm sorry, from steam to the internal combustion engine to rockets to jets. Travel, as humanity had known, had transformed to the point where we were looking for the next fastest way to get around. It's the same thing with telecommunications. Once the telegraph came out, the telephone. Once the telephone came about, they were looking at wireless communication. All of that stuff fed into humanity, and it kept humanity transforming to the point where, and think about it, we go somewhere today, and if there's a public Wi-Fi, we're upset. We're thinking, where in the world does not public Wi-Fi exist? We think it's impossible, but there are places and communities, especially in the rural United States, where public Wi-Fi doesn't exist. They don't have internet connection like some major cities. So all of that plays into a role within those, and I'll come back to those ages later. Within those developmental times, everybody had a job. So everybody, and shout out to BGS and Coach Greg Adams, otherwise known as CGA or C got a lot of. He's got a lot of acronyms for himself. I pulled some information from them, and if I can dig up the links to some of the shows, I'll go drop those links in the shows so people can listen and get their, because they do magnificent breakdowns. I mean, their breakdowns are phenomenal. So people can see just what it is that I'm getting at, that I don't necessarily have the time to dig in like they did, because their shows, when they did these, BGS was a little shorter, but CGA's was about an hour and a half long just on this alone. And it was so thorough that I was very impressed. Not that I'm not impressed with what he does anyway, because he does good work. So I'll come back to these and lay out how all this stuff transitions from then to where we are now. You're looking at the game.
They going at it.
Well, let me go ahead. Let me jump into the pre-industrial revolution. Most jobs for men fell into one of four roles. He was either a manual laborer or a farmer, military, law enforcement, or politician. Those were the jobs that were available for men. Didn't matter where you came from. And being that most men, just like women, They were well educated. So you were relegated to those jobs. You all aged at the same rate. Shout out to BGS. So when the neighborhood, pardon me if you will, but when that age demographic came into fertility, 11, 12, 13, 14, you were paired off. Didn't matter if you didn't like each other. Didn't matter if you loved each other, because love wasn't a component. It was about survival. You would make, if your father had enough land, give you enough land, rinse, wash, repeat. You do that for 2 or 3 generations. Next, you move into what I term the industrial age. Or what is the industrial age? The same amount of jobs exist, except you had one addition. You had business owners. So some men who were able to gather up some resources, maybe partner with somebody, started a business. They were able to hire some people. And this is when you get into the Gilded Age. The Gilded Age, for people who don't know what that is, the Gilded Age is the time in the United States of America where the vast majority of wealth was accumulated. So you look at your Rockefellers, your Carnegies, your Vanderbilts. Um, I can't remember the Boilermakers. I can't remember his name right now. But those people, that's where all that wealth was accumulated. So those people became your elite class. And not because they were necessarily controlling voting and things of that nature, the way we look at the elite class now. It's because they controlled markets. They move things. So if they, this is where the hostile takeover in terms of business really came about, because you have people like Carnegie who cornered the market on steel. Same thing with um the oil tycoon. I'm getting the names mixed up. Carnegie, um, jeez, Rockefeller, I do believe it was. All of those gentlemen, they were using hostile takeovers. They underbid oil companies just to run them out of business so they can come back. Yeah, Rockefeller, and come back and buy up that business at a discount, because they didn't care. They were going to make the money back on the back end by selling things. So you look at that at the Gilded Age and strikes, because there was no such thing as child labor laws. So you had women and kids who were working in factories, losing appendages, getting hurt. There's the I can't remember the name of the company in New York City, I think it was the Waist Garment T-shirt factory. They would lock these women in this place, and they had a fire, and I can't remember the number of people who died. All women, by the way, who died in that fire. And that's when a lot of reform started to come through. So you look at that age where people started to be able to move from rural America into cities and start working in factories. We covered this on another podcast. When you start looking at the places where people meet, work was work was at the top for a long time. So as a father, if they had a 14-year-old at home, she might be in school. She might be working in the textile industry, which is where the vast majority of women work. That's why they're saying, hey, this guy shows up to work every day. I sit and have lunch with him. He seems like an okay guy. He's 22. Why not pair him up with my daughter? I can get my daughter out of this rat race. I can have some kids. She'll have a better quality of life. And you know what? That's what that father did. He would pair his daughter off with this guy. They would get married. If he had something in terms of land or a home that he was renting, or at that particular time, nobody was renting a home per se, a space. That was it. That was the American dream, was to be able to go out and earn. And I think a lot of people don't realize the time period and what people had and what they expected to earn. There were no safety nets back then. Welfare didn't exist. Welfare didn't come into existence until about um, after the stock market crash, just before World War II. So if you didn't work, you didn't eat. If you couldn't farm, you couldn't eat. So literally, a man's worth was in his hands. So if a father saw a hardworking guy, yeah, he was going to pair him with his daughter. Age gap, no. It was called stability. Just like one of the things I read about what Letitia said. And that was the reason why older men usually, not all the time, usually got the younger woman, was because he was able to earn. You will rarely see a 16-year-old earn as much as a 26-year-old. You will rarely see a 26-year-old earn as much as a 36-year-old. It's not until you get into those 30s for men, for the average man, especially in the United States of America, where your earnings starts to take root and you earn more money and you're able to take on a wife, kids, even if she's working part-time, and still um, be able to cover the vast majority of the finances of the home. So when we hear about women are gold diggers, not, and I'm on record of saying this, and I'll say this again, I don't think there's a such thing as a gold digger for a woman unless she's actually aged out of having children physically, the wall, if you will, and she's just chasing men strictly for what they can provide for. And if you get caught up in the hate, that's on you. I will tell you this: no one understands what the rules of engagement are.
Now, um, yeah, I understand from the historical factor that you brought into existence. It's all it's all legit. But also, I I just visualize growing up again in Niagara Falls, where how I saw things done from my perspective, and I guess they were businessmen. Uh, they were, street pharmacists, but they had younger girls. And the thing is, some of them, those younger girls, mothers knew this, but you know what? Because they were struggling, he helped them up. So, hey, he probably hit mom off with something, a few dollars or whatever. She didn't have to worry about school clothes. Mom didn't have to worry about school clothes or anything like that. So, growing up seeing that, you would see these guys catching we would look like, damn, she cute, she pretty, whatever. Like, man. Uh, but we know we didn't have a chance in fucking France at the time. We was walking. We was walking. And granted, some of them they might have entertained your conversation and all that stuff, but you knew that at the end of the day, it was just gonna be a little small talk he would have. Because once he come pulling up in his Seville, um, Eldorado, uh,
The lack, yeah.
what other cars? They was Acras and different kitted up cars, trucks. You ain't have a chance. And then there were some guys that worked at plants that they had girls
Mhm,
too. They were,
mhm.
they were not too old, but they were could have been in their mid 20s. But they had a plant job, and they probably got in because their father put them on, and they
There was
was living in the outskirts of Niagara Falls, but then coming in the inner city, doing well. So a lot of these girls like, yo, who is that? Like because they wasn't around like that. They didn't even go to the probably didn't even go to Niagara Falls High School trot or that. They might have went to Wheatfield or
yeah.
Niagara Catholic or somewhere like that. But they would come around and they would scoop up some girls too. And it was again the age gap. because, like her said, if you 15 or 16, you're not gonna talk to a 16-year-old. Y'all both getting on the yellow school bus. Uh, when it's time to go to the Monte Carlo and time to go out, uh, shit, he trying to figure out what outfit he gonna get. And meanwhile, you got this 21, 22 year old gonna take you to the mall. He gonna pick you up from school, so you ain't got to get on that damn bus. And if you call him, he ain't doing that. He might bring your lunch up to the school. You just got to make sure you put something in the door so that you can run out to the car and get it. And while everybody else eating chicken patties and all that stuff, you eating good.
Yeah.
So like this stuff went on, and some of us, kind of lost out because of it, because we didn't have what they had, and you had to get your own platform. Thank God I went to college, and then I had a different platform. But what I did do is bring some of them girls into the community, and now I've subjected some of them to those guys. So you end up losing some of the college girls out because now they're like, man, we never been out like this at a little hood bar like this. Now, these guys coming up. What's up, David? Man, who is that? Who is that? Then they hollering at them, and these girls is going because some of them, shit, they tuition, they wasn't there on EOP or whatever. They had things they had to pay for, whatever, and they kind of hooked up with some of these guys, whatever. So it just goes around and around. So when people see it, they only look at it as one way, it's like somebody trying to be like a molester. But instead of looking at all the other factors, because you got to be a critical thinker, and some people don't think too deep. They only see what they see right then and there, and then they come up with a conclusion instead of saying, "Damn, if I would have critically analyzed the situation, I would have understood what's been going on over the years."
Yep. Yeah, man. I'm gonna follow that up with this one. I plucked this from Facebook too, and this is a dating chronology of women in their primes. All right, 18-year-old female says, "I don't date men my age. They broke." 21-year-old female says, "I don't want to get married." 22-year-old, "I will never submit to no man." 23, "If you want this punani, where the money at?" 24, "Broke men don't deserve no punani." 25, "Men ain't shit." 26, "I'm strong and independent." Female in the danger zone. 27-year-old, "I'm focused on my career. I'm not interested in a relationship that will hold me back." 28, "Men are intimidated by a strong, independent woman." 29 years old, "Maybe in the future, I might get married." 30, "Men today don't want to commit." 31, "I want a family someday." Females who reach the wall. 32, "I want to get married and have a family and submit to my man." 33, "It don't matter how a man looks, how much money he has, so long as he treats me well." 34, "Where are all the good men at?" 35, "Only a real man will raise a child that's not his." Some of these might start sounding familiar. 36, "Men my age who date younger women are penniless and want to take advantage of them because they can't handle a real woman and real woman responsibilities." 37, "Now she suffers from antidepressant. I'm sorry, she suffers from depression and lives on antidepressants." Now,
Mm.
some of these things may sound familiar to some people. Some people will say, "I've never heard of anything like this in my life." These, most of those things I read are the condition of women post 2000 because women now have the ability to be educated on their own, earn on their own, control when they get pregnant, if they get pregnant, by whom they get pregnant by. So no longer are they at the mercy of their father determining who they deal with. No, that power's been taken out of the fathers and the family's hands, at least in Western culture, and that's solely in the hands of the woman. She gets to decide all that. It's like Dreyfus Law. So women are always going to pursue what's in their best interest, and they should. Anybody who tells you that women should not pursue what's in their best interest is a damn fool. And I will tell that individual to their face, you're a fool to think that a woman should put herself in the best position to either have a soft life or to work as little as possible. Because women were never supposed to be beasts of burden. They were never supposed to be laborers. That was the man's job. That's why we're built the way we're built. We're built to take on heavier workloads. We're stronger. We're faster. Hearts are bigger. Brains are bigger. Hands are bigger. Every measurable metric, even up to and including intelligence. And I know what people are going to say. Women mature faster. Maturity has nothing to do with intellect. And if that was the case, then there'll be a whole lot more different than what there is now, especially when you get into the legal realm. And I'll leave that there. So when you look at these things in the aggregate, and people see these women out here chasing the top tier Brads, if you will, the Kens, if you will, the Bryans, the Marks, whatever ethnicity, whatever the top tier common name for that man is going to be, you got to tip your hat to the game. Tip your hat to the game, charges, say, you know what? If I want to get in there, if I want those choice cuts of women, then I got to up my game. I got to get out there. I got to start banging in the paint. I got to start banging with these cats that's making that kind of money, or else I just need to step aside. It's like BGS says, you either lead, follow, or get the fuck out the way. Too many men want to use social media and complain about the quote-unquote unfair advantages that women have. Okay, I'll grant you that there's some there because they do have an advantage. However, and this is something we covered on this platform before, that advantage flips once we hit 30. Because as Rogue Pillar says, older than 35 is too old. And you can ask any woman this, and she'll tell you to your face that she looked her best when she was in her late teens, early 20s. And that stands up. It passes the muster because rarely do we see a female that's 35 and she looked better and she didn't look better when she was 25. Hell, we say that as men. Hell, and unless you as a man, you've gotten you work out more, you got the facial hair, you got your whole look set up. We say, hey, when I was 25, 26, 27, shit, I was GQ cover worthy. At 50, no, I got the receding hairline because my hairline is offset. I'm here to tell you, I'm 290 pounds. I'm going to see the cover of Fat GQ. That's about the only thing I'm going to see the cover. I'm not going to be on. I'm not going to be on the cover of GQ. But when I was in my 20s, yeah, I may have cracked the cover. But I cover. But see, this is what a lot of people don't understand. So when we talk about age gap dating, the foundation was survival, and it was the ability to provide. So when you look at this, don't look at it in the modern context, because if you do, you will swear that every guy's out there is a pedophile. He's looking for a female he could take advantage of, and whatever phraseology that they wish to use. And I tell people, I've been on both sides of the ledger. I was 24 dating somebody who was 36. I was uh 29 dating somebody that was 17. Call it what you will. I'm not here to defend myself. I enjoyed the 17-year-old. As a matter of fact, that young lady and I still commiserate. Now, the irony is this: I don't commiserate with the woman that was 36. From what I understand, she's married, but she had her own things that she needed to deal with for her to get to that point. Shout out to her. I'm not gonna mention no names. You already know how I do. But people come into your life for one of three reasons: a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And if they come in for a season and that season is cuffing season, then hey, do what you do. But understand that's what it is. But if you get a person that comes into your life for a lifetime, and that person is 12 years your junior or 12 years your senior, who's to say that that relationship can't work out? Because we never know what individuals can help somebody else if they're missing something in their lives. Just imagine, just imagine. Matter of fact, I'll take the movie Forrest Gump, I believe it was, where his commanding officer had just a horrible time post service, and he ends up with an Asian lady who just mellowed him out, and he found that peace and that happiness that he was searching for. See, we as people, we think we know everything about every situation, especially some of the ones we've never been in. And that's where we go wrong. That's where we err. Sometimes we need to just sit back and look. And as opposed to try and judge, take in information so you can understand better why an individual does what they do. Because you will find yourself learning more about the human condition when you try to judge less. Because if I see a woman that's 45 walking around with a guy that's 25 and she's a sugar mama, I'm saying, hey, bro, do you understand though? She's gonna have some stipulations, and if you can rock with those stipulations and you can do what she wants you to do, enjoy it. Life is too short, and I say this in all sincerity. Life is too short to be pressed about what somebody else thinks about your personal life. Me personally, I don't give a fuck what somebody thinks about me personally. I heard a female say once, if you ain't financing me, fucking me, feeding me, you're so fucked.
And see, and we talk about this often. Again, that some of this stuff could be smooth sailing if you stop listening to other influences,
Mhm.
friends, family members, and all that. You can guarantee an OG, if you're a younger girl, now you probably ain't gonna be all over fucking social media like that. He ain't like, "Nah, I don't do all that. I don't, I don't, I don't do all that. I ain't gonna be in no videos and all that shit. You're not gonna do all that. But best believe y'all stuff probably gonna be solid. Meanwhile, you comparing because don't compare, identify. A lot of times people want to compare situations instead of identifying what's really going on. And if you trying to compare your friends' relationship and they're closer to age and they all on videos, dancing, doing this, doing all the TikTok trends and all that shit, and look like they're having fun. Meanwhile, you don't know what the hell they argue about or go at it about throughout. All that shit could be just a freaking mirage. they faking jacks, whatever. But meanwhile, they got serious bills that ain't been paid and turmoil. But meanwhile, you and your guy, not good. You ain't got to worry. He just ain't doing all that stuff. He said he ain't never been about that. So either you respect it or you don't. And sometimes the age gap thing may not work because you want to be caught up in being similar situations with your the people you associate with. But meanwhile, you got somebody, you got security, you got comfort. You don't have to worry. He even schooled you that your work ethic is different now. You getting your own. Uh and you all right. But sometimes people tend to go back what they're used to.
Mhm.
And that's why sometimes age gap thing doesn't work because you want him to be like your friend's 35-year-old, 36, but he's 50. So he don't do that shit. He don't got time. His job, he ain't trying to be on videos and stuff because he don't want that type of image. Now your man's husband, oh, shit, who knows where he works at? Carlos Mama said. So in other words, young ladies, get you an old polished OG. I mean, hey, if the young one's not working, then you got to do something different. I'm not saying that's for everybody because sometimes two people the same age who got similar likes and all that stuff can blow up together. It depends on the situation. Depends on the situation. So it's not that's not the narrative that that we want to put out there. We're just saying
Right.
like in certain situations, as far as the age gap, it could work into somebody's advantage. And if it's working for you and you living different than you and you got a different comfort level than you ever had before, shit, I fuck that up and then go back to the same route. Because eventually some of your friends, like I said before, when I did my No Friday foolishness, that flattery and all that stuff, some of that shit is fool's gold. And they want to rope you back into where they at because they see you shining. You said, I know you wasn't saying that. No, I was just going along in case somebody else took it that way. I know you wasn't saying that specifically, but I was just saying, period, that, hey, some people need to get them an OG, an older, polished OG, because dealing with people their age hasn't been working. So it depends on what that individual's looking for and what they've been through, and probably some things that they lacked in life that they won't now. That causes them to make certain decisions.
Well, but the thing about that is this: there's a whole lot more truth to that than what Carlos probably realized. And I'm going to name a movie: Dead Presidents. When her boyfriend got back from, I think it was Vietnam, she was with child, correct?
Yeah,
Who was providing for her? See, and there's a link for anybody that was looking for the CGA dating thing and how it's changed. We always think that life imitates Hollywood, but we never really think about when Hollywood imitates life. And mind you, the average people that are getting married are pretty much in the same age demographic. In other words, they're within 5 to 7 years of each other, whether it's the female that's older or the male that's older. We're talking about the opposite ends, if you will, of the bell curve. And the reason why, and I stated this earlier, the reason why, hold up, Dave.
or got that big wing special coming through. Yeah, so it all depends. It all depends. I mean, when you think about it, sometimes it's tolerance level too. Like why the age gap, what won't work, whatever, because people like to do different things, and sometimes that those are the things that kind of can cause everything to falter. So, for example, if it was if it was if it was a woman in that position and she was older and she was dealing with a younger guy and she was all about going to church and all about doing this, and the guy, he was cool with it, but he like, man, Saturday nights I'm trying to hang out with my fellas, watch some games, or go bowling, shoot darts, watch boxing. I ain't about to go to no damn church. But then he still realized, like, damn, she's good for me, but
Mhm.
eventually something's gonna have to come to a an halt. So you just never know. And then again, that's when sometimes you have to ask yourself. I always say the miracle question: is your life better with or without that person? And you have to ask yourself that: is your life better with or without them? If it's better with them, then you have to start thinking about, like, damn, what should I do? Uh, and you start doing your way pros and cons on why I should be around this person. Or if it's not, then yeah, arguing all the time, don't get along,
Mhm.
things ain't changed. It's just like you when you was with the last person. Then shit, you might as well go somewhere, hibernate, and come back better and work on yourself. So there's no absolutes in any of, as far as the age gap thing, but know that it happens, know that it exists, and know that it's not about being a molester, cougar, sugar daddy, and all that stuff. Sometimes it's real life things that drive or motivate people to get involved in these um, type of situations with the age gap. See, I've been hoodwinked, and I just
Yeah,
read
and
one narrative and go with, oh, no, like somebody held somebody gunpoint. No, don't get me wrong. There's some guys that say, "Oh, you're not leaving me," whatever, and they may do some drastic shit like that. But for the most part, uh, people understand. It's kind of hard to say. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth because we got some crazy ass shit that be happening. Like people just
you
can't get
do.
over certain
No,
things.
yeah, no, it's like I was saying with the bell curve. We're on opposite ends, and you're gonna have some men out there that will do some just incredibly psychopathic things. There's absolutely no question about that. This is why a lot of people will question. Let me not say question. A lot of people will caution younger girls. Hey, I know he has the money. He can afford to take you places. He can come pick you up in that nice car. Just be careful. Don't let him isolate you. But the one thing we don't talk about that's really mentioned in these circles is pregnancy. That, yep, exactly, Carlos. That changes the ball game for a whole lot of people, especially if it's a female and she's in her mid 20s and this is her first child. Now she's in an era of uncertainty. And that guy, because he holds all the cards, and this is what a lot of women talk about when they talk about not having escape money. They say, well, he's holding all the cards. He can make her homeless. He can put her out. She got nowhere to go, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Which is why, good evening, Doc, which is why when people start to get into these kinds of situations, they do so with the full knowledge and full understanding of all the pitfalls that await them. Now, a younger boy or younger male, I should say, in his mid 20s, who's dating a woman in her late 30s, early 40s, he may not have to worry about her conceiving. However, if he does, he's in no better situation than the female is. Why? Because he's going to be on the hook for child support. And if it's his first child and her fourth or fifth one, because all of hers are grown and out, he's in no better situation either. So this is why we always try and tell people, stop hiding things from your children. Sit down and have that talk with them. Sit down and say, hey, life might be different for you than it was for me. We talked about this with I can't remember the show title. When we said we can't tell our kids what to do when they get naked pictures when they were the age because it never happened to us. So we don't 16 a girl send me a naked picture of her? How?
Hmm.
And she walked up and give you a Polaroid? That didn't exist. So we have to be
wow.
mindful.
That would have been wild.
I'm just saying, man. We gonna tell you what other people don't tell you if you haven't figured that out. We don't hide stuff and we don't believe in that. So you have to prepare these kids not for the world that you grew up in. You have to prepare these kids for the world that they are stepping into as young adults, some as maturing adults, and some as adults who haven't quite figured out what they want. And I know Gen Zs, the alphas and millennials coming in, their world is going to be completely different from what um, boomers, X, and some of the millennials. We are not growing up the same. Our worlds are different. So we have to arm them with everything that we know and then find out what it is that they know and then try and bridge the gap between what they don't know and let's face it, what we don't know. Because there's going to be no 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old high school student rolling out of high school with a diploma, landing a factory job that's paying all the bills. He's not going to be able to work there. She's not going to be able to work there until retirement and draw a nice pension. Them days are gone. Factory jobs are not what they used to be. So it's very few professions that young men can get into that's going to allow them to hold the household down. So for us to be upset that women are chasing what makes them or permits them to be less stressed about a roof over their heads. They might have children in tow. Who's going to feed them? Because with the government cutbacks that are coming, and they're coming, people think this is just the beginning. No, the can's been kicked down. Pardon me, speaking too quickly. The can has been kicked down the road long enough to where there is no more road. And this is something else we talked about. Are people going to start moving back in with relatives? Are people who have kids going to start to find themselves under one roof? Are people going to start buying properties together? Is that young girl going to take up with that older man because he has a nice pension and he can provide for her? She might have to break him off a little something, something. OG say, hey, I just want some money. That's all. I'm good. You can go out and run around with your other little friends, do your other little things. Just don't bring no diseases back. Don't bring no more children back. Those are the kind of contracts that we probably will be seeing in the very near future. Don't be upset when it happens. Just be forewarned.
Yeah. It's about to be some different times. It's definitely
Mhm.
it's definitely coming. So and I think a lot of people don't even think about it. They just say to themselves, "Oh, I'm not worried about it." Donald Trump. Oh, I'm not worried about what's going on. Shit is real, and it's gonna be impactful. So you have to try to find a way to make adjustments, and relationship wise too. Because again, like Herb said, it might be real that people may need to say, "Hey, I might need to swallow my pride and move back here," or "Damn, I'm having him pay all this money for child support, yeah, but he's still coming over here, hitting this shit on over two, three times. And he don't got nothing consistent going on. Uh, we might as well knock off the nonsense and just put all this shit, uh, make it work. You just never know. So people gonna have to think hard and evaluate. Like, damn, how do I move forward? I want to say, yep, a lot
Mhm.
of people don't know what's really going on. No, they don't. They really don't. They think it's a game, but it's happening. Even with the whole 401k and all of this stuff, I bet you some people don't even really know or understand. I don't know. I know for myself. I just say myself. I got to get out of the school system. I got to get out. I got to go. I got to
Oh,
go.
and you know the funny thing about that is, and you and I have all we've talked about this at length. I don't think people really, just like Dr. Dunbar said, I don't think people really understand what's coming down the pipe, particularly about primary education. You know, if if Trump gets his way and he can eliminate um the Department of Education, that takes an act of Congress because that's how it was established. But what he can do is he can severely limit the amount of federal funding that states get. And that's
When you remove
primarily
special
going to hit.
education and all that stuff, special ed, you eliminate that shit.
Mhm.
That's gonna cut into a lot of stuff. Shit, if you think about taking
Bingo.
away the testing and all of that stuff, money that come in. Yeah.
So the question becomes, because we know that custody overwhelmingly resides with the women. And do you think Forrest Gump's mother actions were laughable? You'll probably have a lot more women doing a lot more of that than you can stomach, because no mother wants to see their child, no matter how academically challenged they are, left behind. They don't want to see that. No mother wants to see her child struggle. No mother wants to see her child destitute. Mothers have been willing to do some of the most outrageous things at their personal, at their personal value to make sure their children have. Fathers do it a different way. Fathers will sacrifice their health. Women will usually sacrifice their bodies. Men, of course, sacrifice their bodies through labor, but we're talking geez, different kinds of labor, if you will. So people, um, I'm going to sound the alarm now. If you know retired teachers, professionals in your community, and you know people who can teach, I'm gonna tell you now. If you have um, children who are bearing your grandchildren, start finding a way to supplement their education, their primary education, because they're gonna need it, especially if you live in rural places that depend on government money. And especially if you're good at core subjects, yo, don't wait, don't wait. Get together with your peoples. Say, hey, look, right now is the opportune time for us to start putting our coins together, building something where we have to go get an abandoned building, um, get some people together to bring it up to building specs, and we start bringing these kids in from the surrounding communities. And I'm not talking about saving the community. I don't want people to misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm talking about educating the kids, because the kids didn't have to be brought into this world. So at the very least, give them the tools to survive. Now, I don't care if you teach them woodworking. I don't care if you teach them how to do HVAC. I don't care if you teach them how to do welding, plumbing. Give these kids a chance to compete so they can survive. Because that's what we talked about at the top of the show. It's all about survival of the next generation. Pure and simple.
So we have a lot of things to move forward with and to think about. Like there's no one size fit all model. Yeah, we all got some work to do. We all got to be in the lab thinking about like, damn, especially when you're in your 40s, 50s. Like, well, we probably lived most of our life. We probably only got one quarter left,
Mm-hmm.
which could be which could be sad if you think about it when you look at the years. And even if you start adding up, like, damn, my father died when he was this age. My
Yep.
mother died when she was this age. What happens? Like, damn, does that mean I only got 9 or 10 more years left?
They can
It's
do it.
real because it's people like every day that when you go on social media, you're like, damn, she died, he died, and mortality to me is scary. And but yet and still, you got other people after you that have to survive. Uh, and I think that's, as far as our culture, we do a poor job setting them up for the future,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
where they could say, "Damn, man, Dad passed. Shit, I got 300, 400,000, and I'm about to try to do something with this so I can build a legacy." Because a lot of us, we have people pass that wasn't the case. But then you have other, uh, you know, other races, Caucasians and stuff like that. Sure, that's how they had them houses and all that. That's how Warren Buffett and them got uh, became billionaires and richest people, whatever, rich people, because you did it through insurance and all that stuff. And when someone passed, money came in. Not that you wanted anything to happen, but you were, you know, it represented stability. We haven't done that. We haven't set up anything. So then you wonder why, like, shit, even with the age gap, there's situations that people get involved with that because they looking for a return that they may get with a guy or woman that health may be declining, but you gave them everything you had for that time being, and shit, they end up leaving you, giving you everything. Just never know. So again, it's not
Yeah.
all. It's not always about trying to control, because I think that's the whole thing, to try to change people mindsets, that it's not about being a molester and all that. Like that's like the old school way of thinking. Uh, that you got to think about reasons why. Look at the root cause of why people do things that they do, or why they went that route. And when you talk to people and you have in-depth conversations, you kind of feel like, damn, and you had it bad, or I see why you went that route. Because a lot of times people they don't know your whole story. They don't know your situation, because you know why? Because when we post certain things, and you ask about somebody, what do you think about somebody's past? They say, I don't want to know anybody's past. So therefore, you don't know anything about that individual or what their struggles was, because you don't want to know. And I'm not just talking about how many partners they slept with, just overall. People like, oh, that was then, this is now. The fuck y'all thought? They uh somebody waved the magic wand on them, and all of a sudden they was gonna change.
Yeah.
They still gonna be who they are.
Yeah.
It's up to you to figure out why they, what led them to become the person that they have become. I don't know. I ain't, you know me. It's March Madness. This game getting tight. We ain't gonna belabor the point. This shit gonna come back up again, because we about to get up out of here. Herb, you got that wing special coming through?
No, man, I got to tighten the hatches down on the. That was from Frozen Produce. my, my brother's friend dropped off. I got to come
Uh,
back on it, man.
uh,
It's a fight. It's a fight, man. Sometimes when pizza wings, we throwing some haymakers and they hit, man, and I go down for the count. Next thing I know, I wake up. I'm doing this.
wake up with like 30 weird bones in your bed.
I'm doing this.
uh,
Mm,
it's all good. As long as you know, you recognize it, and you say, hey, I know I gotta make a change, and you make it happen, whatever. I just be messing with you, man. Your struggle is my
man, but
struggle sometimes.
the funny thing about it is this though. I only order because I try and stay away from fried foods as much as possible, because I don't eat beef or pork. There's one or two places that I generally order from, and I'm not gonna, not that the places are bad. I actually, if they were bad, I'd never order from them consistently. But there's two places. One is in Pine Plaza, next to the McDonald's. I think they're still open, but they don't deliver late. So most of the time I eat them, because I work midnights. It's late. So I call them, man, that grilled chicken and pineapple, red sauce and the cheese. Shoot, it's better than sex sometimes, man. And then I get them suicide wings, and I have to remind myself, I don't. The entrance is a lot better than the exit, because the exit day, it'd be flame. It'd be a flame.
Wow.
I swear I'll never forget, man. This is you guys may want to turn the volume down, and this is gonna get a little slightly grotesque. I had ordered some suicide wings, man. Wolfed them suckers down. Woke up about 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? And because I'm the type of person that check my bowel movements, I look in the toilet. Shit. Oh, hell no. This was almost almost a decade ago to the day, somewhere around there. I go to the ER. I'm like, man, I got rectal bleeding. What? Yeah. So they do the examination. And fellas, colon cancer is real, especially for black men. If you haven't had uh hysterectomy, jeez, I got too many medical terms in a row. Yeah, if you haven't had a colonoscopy done, if you haven't had your prostate checked, please go get it done. It's uncomfortable, but only for a moment. But go get it done. But when my man did that, I wanted to turn around and punch the shit out my man. What the fuck is wrong with you, dude? But luckily for me, the only thing it was a polyp going essentially just letting loose, and that was it. Come back, about 5-6 years, we'll get another one done, and that was it. But man, I said I'm never eating suicide hot wings again. Well, that didn't stay around long. But yeah, man, it's because I don't hang out. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke weed. My Friday and Saturday nights, I've been working for who knows how long. So going to hang out, that's not what I do. So my guilty pleasures, yes, is chicken wings and pizza. That's my guilty pleasure because I really don't partake in dating multiple women and the gratuitous sex. Them days are long gone. I just I'm content with just having the house, this first size house, and the two cats I had to quarantine one night because they was climbing all over and so it kind of annoys Dave. So yeah, man, that's I try and keep to myself. I literally I try to stay the hell off the goddamn radar. The less people know about me, the better off I am. And that goes with any and everything I do. The only thing I want on the radar is things that I do like this and the stuff that I have coming down the pipe, which I'll keep you guys informed of.
I hear that. So we're gonna close this one out. That's only because of my fixation. I want to see the end of this game, how it pan out. That's something I enjoy. One of the best spectacles in the world, March Madness, the NCAA tournament, whatever. Um, Only thing that equate to that, I ain't even say the Super Bowl equate to it. It's
Nothing does.
probably a good ass boxing match with two top tier boxes in the build up to that fight. And then you got the fight parties and you're around good people and everything leading up to it. That feeling is surreal. But gonna close it out. Any closing comments for you, Herb, on this subject? Because we're not done with it. You're a fool in sheep's clothing if you think it's over with. We just probably letting y'all
Yeah,
out the
man.
door right now.
This is a story that it's never going to end. Um what people have to do is they have to come to an understanding that for as much as people rail against something, there's going to be as many people for it within reason and within acceptability of morality. So stop trying to fight against things that you don't like because your moral fiber says it's wrong. Because I assure you that if you, the individual, had to make the choice between being homeless or taking a residency with somebody who was 15 years your junior or senior, I'm sure you want that warm bed and that hot meal. And that is all I have.
For me, closing comment, age gap, it's gonna always exist. People gonna do it for different reasons. Uh, Truthfully, it's probably really none of your business why the reason it is. And if you put too much emphasis into it's freaking tearing you apart, then you got other things that you need to evaluate. You may look at something and say, "Oh," and we all, again, we talked about this before. We all make judgments. We all say our own shit. So when people say don't judge me, people are always gonna fucking judge you. So stop saying that. Let that slang and all that stuff, that phrase disappear. People are always gonna judge you and they don't have all the facts behind it, but they're gonna make a statement. That's judgment. So if we don't internalize it and go about our business, then we'll be fine. Just can't question what another person does and why it exists because it does exist. And we didn't get into all the social, cultural, personal, emotional, biological, psychological, education, uh, personal
Yeah.
preference. So sounds like it's a setup to finish it, and maybe they could throw something else in with it for part two uh, to finish it off. You can't go wrong in these conversations because it's real, it's happening, and these are the type of things that we try to talk about. So we gonna get up out of here. I got a long ass meeting tomorrow too, all day long, from like 8 to 3. I'd rather be at the schoolhouse than to be. Oh, never mind. I'm saying too much. I'm acting like I retired. I'm still working. Uh, but we out on to the next one. Uh, Thanks for
All right.
everybody who came in, chimed in. Please like and share the video. Please subscribe. Please join the Counselor's Corner. Make your comments, post, and all this stuff. Look at her.
It'll disappear.
Oh man. So we out. Everybody be well. See y'all next time. Peace.
All right, people, be safe.
All right.